Bank is a nodal financial agency or a financial service provider that helps the customer. Insurance, in short, is something which is going to cover you in case of any emergency or any untoward incident altogether. So when you write about the insurance, you need to write about the principles of insurance. Good morning and welcome to the model question paper discussion on management of banking and insurance services in the first semester BCom. Now, most of you are going to write the examination in the first semester on this great paper, and this is a quite interesting topic for all of us to see as what are the kinds of questions that is going to come and how we are going to answer it. Now, moving further, let's have a quite good look at the blueprint altogether. We have the 15-mark questions. We are going to get two 15-mark questions here. 10-mark questions are going to be 3 and 5-mark questions of 4. So total is going to be for 80 marks. Followed by the 15-mark questions that are most repeated and the most important question that you can expect in the question paper are as follows. The first one is discuss the functions of the bank. All of us know that bank is a nodal financial agency or a financial service provider that helps the customer by providing loans, by providing them the facilities like deposit, bank assurance services, credit cards, debit cards, overdrafts, different kinds of loans like vehicle loans, personal loan, home loans. So it's a whole lot of financial services that the bank does towards the customer. The bank is a very, very important constituent of the Indian economy. Why? Because without the bank, the economy cannot function. So what you need to write in the paper is that you need to highlight the importance of banking services towards the customers that will actually help you to score better. So you need to write about the functions of bank like that of the agency services. You need to talk about the financial services, the loans that has been given, and all the facilities that are being provided by the bank. Now, all these things will actually help you to score better in the examination. Plus, when we talk about bank, it is not just like something which is just going to take the deposit and provide interest rate. They also have functions like advances. They also have functions like taking gold loan, gold deposit, providing security against share. So there are different functionalities of the bank which will actually help you to understand and write better in the examination. Followed by what is the role of central bank in India. So when I mention about this word called central bank, it is none other than the Reserve Bank of India, or rather known as RBI. So the question is more about understanding the functions of RBI. So from the functions of RBI, we have different functions, namely when we talk about the supervisory function, we talk about the monetary function, then we talk about the allied functions or the services that the bank does in terms of helping up the various commercial banks. It is a banker to the banks, it is a banker to the government, it issues notes, coins and currencies to the government, it helps in developing the monetary policy, it helps to maintain the foreign exchange reserve, it helps to maintain the credit reserve, the cash reserve ratio, the statutory liquidity ratio, and the various other monetary functions that are being taken care by RBI. And this is a very, very important question when it comes to your examination standpoint. Now, RBI has got other functions like research. It also participates in the Indian economic research. It participates in the fiscal policy, in the monetary policy. It provides guidelines to the government as in how we need to maintain the liquidity, how we need to maintain the various interest rate, what kind of loan facilities, what kind of assurances that can be given to the customer. All the functionary items are done by the RBI. So RBI is a very, very important question which you need to focus. You need to take time in writing down the various activities that are done by RBI, which will be very, very helpful in terms of building up the nation's economy. Followed by the legal relationship between a banker and a customer. Now, most of us know that when we go to the bank, we have a different kind of relationship with our banker. Now, though we call it as a legal relationship, but we are not directly entangled. Now, the banker takes the currency from us and gives us an acknowledgement saying that your money is safe with us. From the banker's standpoint, the customer is an entity who is providing him some cash, who is providing him some sort of financial transaction for which he has to give a sort of guarantee. Now, the banker will not get into any obligation with the customer. The banker will not promise anything on behalf of the customer. The banker will not take any responsibilities directly on behalf of the customer. Banker will not go ahead and sign anything on behalf of the customer. The banker will react. The banker will be an advisory position to the customer. The banker will give ideas and suggestions to the customer. Suppose the customer wants some services from the bank, the banker would suggest him what kind of services would be the optimum, would be the best that will be available to the customer. Now, for example, you want to give standing instructions for your EMI, you want to give standing instructions for your bills to be paid, you want to give standing instructions regarding your insurance, you want to tell the bank how they can help you to take an overdraft and complete a loan. All these kind of functionary activities will be done by a banker towards the customer. The banker and the customer are two separate entities and they will not promise each other for anything else. It is purely a financial transaction perspective that you will be seeing between a banker and that of a customer. Now, at any point of time, there is always an acknowledgement that is being given by the bank stating that whether they take a deposit, whether they close a deposit, whether they provide you term insurance, whatever the factors of transaction that is being done between a bank and a customer, it is always being given on an acknowledgement basis. So the banker recognizes you as a customer who provides business to the bank on a regular basis. Now, moving further, let's talk about the 10-mark questions that can come for the examination. The 10-mark question starts with the importance of Banking Regulation Act of 1949. Now, the Banking Regulation Act of 1949 is quite interesting. Why? Because after the independence, we brought in this particular act in order to regulate the banks, in order to bring in a better functioning of the banks altogether. So we started giving the banks a complete freedom in terms of operative mode, in terms of guidelines, in terms of perspectives of how they can help the economy to grow. So we gave them guidelines in terms of interest rate, in terms of cash reserve ratio, the statutory liquidity ratio, the gold maintenance, the deposits, how they have to service the customer, what are the different kind of service charges, all these factors, and providing an autonomy to the Reserve Bank of India, which can have a direct control over the commercial banks. All these points have been discussed under the Banking Act of 1949. Now, followed by the role of insurance services in India. The next question that is very, very important is that why? Because insurance is a very, very emerging sector in India. All of us know that there are two kinds of insurance that we are going to talk about. We are going to talk about the life insurance, and then we are going to talk about the non-life insurance services also. So insurance, in short, is something which is going to cover you in case of any emergency or any untoward incident altogether. Now, when we talk about non-life insurance, it's about like fire insurance, marine insurance, property insurance, or when we talk about insurances that are covering all the non-life activities, it might be even including the theft, the house insurance, and all other factors. Now, life insurance has got integrated with the banking services where even the banks actively participate in promoting insurance services towards their customers. Now, when you go and see Punjab National Bank, they have a tie-up with PNB MetLife. Now, when you start looking with Axis Bank, they have a tie-up with the Max New York Life Insurance Group. Now, when you go to see with the Bank of Baroda, they have India First Insurance. When you go with Canara Bank, they have the Robeco insurance altogether. So like this, there are different kinds of insurance, like SBI has a tie-up with the SBI Life Insurance. All these kind of insurance services actually are provided to the customer in order to safeguard himself in terms of emergencies and exigencies. Now, insurance is actually provided as a backup. It is not something that where you can cash upon. It is not something like a guaranteed income plan we are talking about. But insurance is primarily provided for every customer so that in case of any unplanned, untoward emergency coming in, he can always fall back to bring his life to normalcy. So when you write about the insurance, you need to write about the principles of insurance like utmost good faith, when we talk about the acknowledgement factor, when we talk about the objectivity, when we talk about the purpose of insurance, when we talk about the factors of how much is going to be paid as a premium. All these concepts have to be bought in when we talk about the insurance services in India. Followed by the explain the recommendations of Narasimhan Committee in the year 1991, which is very, very important. Why? Because the Narasimhan Committee is something which had brought in a lot of banking regulation factors in our country. Now, the Narasimhan Committee was one of the turnovers factor that brought in changes, especially from the activities of banking regulation. We wanted to bring in a lot of liberalization in this particular sector, and that's why we brought in the Narasimhan Committee expert recommendation altogether. So when you start understanding about this committee and its work, you will also appreciate about the deregularization of banks, introduction of private banks, introduction of allied services, bringing in of ATM, bringing in of debit cards, bringing in of more flexibility in terms of providing loans, in terms of providing guidelines, providing various kind of financial services that are actually helping the committee to go up. All these factors have been highlighted in the Narasimhan Committee report. So when you write this answer in the exam, what we need to do here is that you need to highlight the important points that have been brought up. There are two factors of it. One happened in the 1991, later in the year 97-98. Also, the Narasimhan Committee report again appended this. They brought in rules and regulations about how the functionalities of banks should be, the corporate governance, the standards in which they have to operate, the level at which they have to maintain the account and the transaction services. So each and every point what the committee has mentioned, has highlighted in the factor has to be told out clearly so that you are able to score the entire 10 marks. Now, if you look into the part B, the 10 marks, the point of questioning you is more from understanding the conceptual factor. You will be able to write this paper better if you are able to give better examples combined with the concept. For example, insurance, if you can give the real life insurance example like SBI Life Insurance or any other insurance companies which you know. Similarly, when we are talking about the Banking Regulation Act or when we are talking about the committee reports, you can talk about how the banks have developed in the current scenario, how we have been able to come up with new banking process, applications, regulations. So when you give relevant examples for each and every answer, you are bound to get that 10 marks and your paper will also look interesting for the evaluator to proceed. Now, let's move on to the part C, the 5 markers. So the 5 markers question, again, we start with a short note on life insurance. A very interesting question altogether. Why? Because life insurance, as I've told you before, is now becoming a part of the banking process. Now, life insurance is all about covering the life of an individual, which includes the physical health condition as well as the mental health condition. So now what we are going to do here is that when we write about the life insurance, we are going to talk about the premium, the policy, the various conditions that are governing in life insurance. We are going to talk about total disability plan or life after death, or if there is going to be any injury or there is going to be any cause of inconvenience that is going to be caused. What are all the backup plans? In what way life insurance is actually going to help the customer? What kind of premiums, flexibilities, how much is the tenure, how we are going to use the life insurance? It is only for one person or can we use a family benefit plan? All these kind of factors, you can bring it onto your exam paper, that is your answer script. So when you write in the examination, please do not take 5 markers lightly. What you need to do is that write down as many points as possible. Why? Because life insurance or any other topic for that matter is something that is on a regular manner. It is something that we discuss as we go about. So you will be able to talk about the life insurance that is being taken up by your own family. So you know about the companies, the premium, the tenure. When you see advertisements about Life Insurance Corporation or Max New York Life, or when you talk about insurance company like Apollo Munich or any other kind of insurance company, how they are promoting it, what are the different kinds of riders, what are the different kinds of benefits, what kind of plans are they coming up with. All these things can be highlighted in your answer sheet, which will definitely help you to score better in the exam. Followed by, write a note on ATM and credit cards, a very, very relevant and a simple question. Why? Because your generation, your people have already known about what is ATM and credit cards. Nothing much to worry about. But then, let me just again highlight on this point called ATM. It stands for Automated Teller Machine. Now, Automated Teller Machine came to India way back in 91-92 when we had companies like the Standard Chartered Bank, which first bought in the Automated Teller Machine, followed by ICICI, HDFC, when they wanted to bring in the banking convenience to customer so that at any point of the time the customer can go with his debit card, put into the ATM machine, punch in his PIN number and take the cash out of. So which means that the convenience that has been brought to the customer, that he can withdraw his own money at any point of time. That's where ATM comes into picture. Credit cards, not a very, very new topic to you all. It is very much known. Credit card brings in an instant credit facility to the customer. Today, there are n number of varieties of credit cards, and there are so many banks in India which are providing you credit cards like the HDFC, ICICI, IDBI, or you talk about SBI, or you talk about Kotak Mahindra. They have come up with a range of credit cards which are providing the customers the facility to shop at an instant manner, and then you can repay back the bills after 30 days or after 45 days. So if you happen to go to a mall or if you happen to go to any of the shopping places, you will see the amount of offers that have been given onto credit cards which you can shop with, and you can get delightful experiences altogether. So credit cards is one of the most common instrument that has been used by a man today in order to shop and in order to satisfy his needs on an instant basis. There are different kinds of interest rate, there are different kinds of parameters in terms of paying it back, but then nevertheless, credit cards is a very, very interesting topic and a financial instrument that has been provided by banks. Next, when we move on to overdraft and loans, overdraft is a facility that is being provided by the bank depending on the relationship with the customer and the account balance. How does he maintain it? So in case of an emergency that is coming into picture, the banker would lend in an overdraft over and above the account money, that is balance that's available, so that for a short-term emergency, the customer can make use of the money and he has to repay back at the stipulated time altogether. So that's where we are talking about the overdraft facility altogether, followed by the loans. Loans are not something new to the government of India and to the scenario at any point of time. Why? Because we have been talking about all possible kind of loans today in India. Whether you talk about a personal loan, educational loan, vehicle loan, house loan, property loan, or you're going to talk about even getting into loans that are done for buying up a mobile or for a fridge or a TV, any kind of loan that we are talking about, loans are the basic instrumental facility that are being provided by the bank in order to promote their business. So today banks come up with different kind of loans to help the customers to satisfy the need. Each and every loan will have their own interest charge, terms and conditions which has to be followed by the customer, and the loan comes up with a repayment time altogether. Now, in most of the time, the customers is also given a facility that where he can go forward and complete the loan even before the tenure is over. So we have come up with different kinds of facilities. We have come up with different kinds of standards that are being governed by the RBI and regulated through the bank so that the customer is able to get the loan on time. With this, I would like to come to the end of this session. I hope and believe that the session was of a great interest and use to you for the upcoming examination. I thank all of you for joining me today on this wonderful session. All the best to the students who are going to write the Management of Banking and Insurance Services exam.